Hey, welcome back. Eric Arnold here in the politics barn. It is the wee hours of Thursday, August 11th, and this is an episode of the politics barn. As again, the topic of the hour is the raid on Mar-a-Lago, home of leading Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, breaking all norms and established traditions in, politics, law enforcement, what have you. Further weaponization of the government by the Democrats, and really, frankly, I believe no less than a declaration of war, as if it hasn't been already declared implicitly by the Democrats. I think pretty much when they instituted the Russian hoax, that was a declaration of war. This just takes it, to the next level. It's kind of almost like you get handed a piece of paper. If you didn't read the piece of paper, someone yells in your face and tells you what's on the piece of paper. Well, this is a punch in the face, and then they're telling you what's on the piece of paper. They're punching you in the face to get your attention, and then they're telling you, hey, we're at war with you, Republicans, in case any of you Republicans out there haven't gotten that yet. I know there's... It basically, I already shot one video here, and it was 48 minutes long, so I want to distill this down and try to make it shorter. So let's hit the high points here. Now, since I made my last video, which was a few hours after the raid in Florida, here's what's happened. The FBI has seized the cell phone of a sitting United States Congressman from Pennsylvania, Scott Perry, represents York and probably Franklin County out there in South Central Pennsylvania. Seized his cell phone, sitting United States Congressman. Today, I guess, the FBI were wandering around Harrisburg at the state capital of Pennsylvania, handing out subpoenas to GOP state senators and state representatives. Not the Democrats, of course, handing them out to GOP members of the GOP caucus. What's that all about? Of course, no one ever says, or the FBI and the Justice Department won't say, even though, the toothless members of our party down in Washington demand answers. They're not going to get any answers. So, they demand, I demand an answer. No. Well, now, so now where are you going to go, Senator fill in the blank? Christopher Wray just told you to go fuck yourself. So what are you going to do about it? And of course the answer for the last 6 years has been mostly nothing. Here we are. So where do we go from here? What happens? This is not going to stop. I keep saying that this is just an extension of what they started in 2000. When was it? It was, it's hard to even remember. I guess it started in earnest in 2016. I believe that was, my timeline I believe is correct. That was the inception of the Russia hoax. That is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's the most corrupt thing I've ever seen in my study of American government. I have a poli-sci major. I have a history major. It's worse than Watergate. It's worse than Watergate because it's still going. It's never stopped. Russia Gate, the Russia hoax, the Russia fraud, it's simply a continuation that's been going on for 2016, and the latest bit just happened down in Florida with this FBI raid. It's not American. It's kind of scary because it's just going to levels that we've never seen in this country, and you just keep thinking, it's like, all right, something will happen here where there'll be an off-ramp or something, and this will stop. They'll find some heinous crime that Donald Trump has committed, and we can all come together and say, all right, you were right, he is a crook, of course. But of course that's not going to happen because they've had 6 years to find something and they haven't found it. They're not going to find anything. At this point, frankly, if they did present evidence, I probably wouldn't believe it anyway because they've been caught lying so many times that they have absolutely no credibility. I wouldn't believe it anyway. I would simply say, that's just another lie. That's just more fabricated evidence, just like you used to get the Russia thing going. Your fake dossier that was full of lies, all lies. Of course, swallowed hook, line, and sinker by corrupt FBI Director James Comey and the intelligence agencies because, of course, they wanted to swallow its hook, line, and sinker. If they had, that dossier had said Donald Trump is a 7-foot-tall Martian that intends on world domination, they would have believed that because they wanted to believe it. So, I think that a number of thoughts have come to my head here. Now, first and foremost, my initial position on 2024 was let's just concentrate on the midterms first. They're incredibly important. We have to try to put the brakes on this communist bandwagon that's going on, trying to turn this country into something it's never been before and something that's not good. A country without the freedoms of which we're accustomed to, and that's where we're going. But it was supposed to be a slam dunk that we'd win these midterm elections. Now I'm not so sure that it is going to be a slam dunk. It certainly should be. I mean, I don't know how you defend your record if you're a Democrat, because pretty much everything's worse today than it was 3 years ago. But then on the other hand, the Democrats have such a huge advantage. They have access to unlimited money, basically. Politics is all about money. If you don't have the money to get on TV and advertise and attack your opponent, it's hard to win. I mean, here in Pennsylvania, I've seen one ad for Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, the candidate, Republican candidate for Senate here in Pennsylvania, an incredibly important race, probably will determine who controls the Senate, whether Dr. Oz wins or out-and-out socialist, Marxist, leftist, communist, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman wins. Well, Fetterman's ads have been all over the place. He has an unlimited source of money. Where's his money come from? Well, where do you think it comes from? It comes from Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, George Soros. Fill in the blank of any billionaire. They're mostly world government leftists who want someone like John Fetterman, who believes everything that they believe. World government, take away the rights and the guns and the freedom of speech of Americans, put them under a rule of a Hague or the United Nations. Certainly don't let them determine for themselves what they're going to do with their lives. They cannot be trusted with that. We elitists want to control what they do and say. They're wrecking the planet, for one thing. So, that's John Fetterman. I'm focused on the midterms. But now, with this raid on Mar-a-Lago, this is war. I mean, this is absolute war. How long is this going to go on before we fight back? I think what would be the best thing for all involved is that if Donald Trump came out and said, I'm running for president, then we could all get behind him, unite behind him as a party. We'd have a leader. Right now we're leaderless. We're leaderless. Trump's sort of the leader, but not really, because is he running for president? And everybody's waiting. Everybody's waiting to see if he's going to run for president. Frankly, I don't think anyone's going to take him on anyway. I mean, of course there'll be some stupid, whatever you want to call it. I can't pronounce the word. Don Quixote, chaotic. Is that how you would pronounce it? Chaotic, fantastical. Liz Cheney, for example, is talking about running as a Republican. She's not a Republican anymore, as if she ever was. I guess she would have been part of the war wing. Now, of course, she's just thrown in with the Democrats entirely. So she's talking about running. She'll have no chance, other than I guess that gives her more clout in the cocktail circles because she captured the never Trump vote. Who weren't going to vote for him anyway. They just would stay home. They're not going to, those people aren't going to vote for Donald Trump. But I think a lot of sort of marginal Trump voters, with this raid on it by the FBI, it's not about Trump. I keep saying that. To me, it's painfully obvious at this point. Painfully obvious that if it wasn't Trump out there, it'd be whoever's out there. Rubio, Cruz, Ron DeSantis. They would be after that guy. Once Trump, if he decides that he's going to step off the stage, and frankly, the only way I think he would step off the stage is if his health is such that he can't physically do it. I think Trump has enough self-respect and pride that he's not going to make a fool of himself like Joe Biden has. So he's going to, if he can't physically handle the job, he'll step aside, let somebody else do it. That's the only way that I see him not running. So to me, man, dude, we need you. We need you to get out there, declare that you're running, and we'll get behind you. It'll be sort of like 1994, where we'll have a national midterm election where the Republicans at least will have a leader and we'll have a platform that we can all unite behind. Right now, we really don't have much of anything other than, well, we're not them, which frankly should win all by itself because they are so fucking terrible. But, again, we don't have much money to get that message out. All the we hear here in Pennsylvania is the Republican candidates, one's from New Jersey and one doesn't want you to kill your baby. And by God, if you want to preserve the option to kill your baby, then Doug Mastriano is not for you. Well, you got me there. You're right on that. If you want to kill your baby, Doug Mastriano does not want you to kill your baby. So other than that, that's all you hear. So I'm thinking we need Trump to run. But, of course, we can't control that. So what do we do in the meantime? To me, all I can think to do is to try to stop where this is going. And I keep saying, this is heading towards a civil war the way this is going. The Democrats, on the path they're taking, sooner or later, they're just going to keep going, ratcheting up and up and up and up and up. And at some point, there's got to be some pushback. At some point, somebody's going to have to just say, no, we're not doing that anymore. I'm hoping to turn them off before we get to that point. I gave you people a plausible scenario for civil war in a previous video to summarize it in 30 seconds. Biden gets us into a shooting war with the Russians. Then using that as a pretext, he strips our rights, takes away our right to speak, starts seizing guns, starts putting dissidents like myself who are against the war, put us in jail under phony baloney charges. Do we fight back at that point, or do we just knuckle under? That would be a plausible scenario where you might have a civil war. If Donald Trump would stand up at some point and say, hell no, we're not doing this, we're not stripping the rights of Americans just so we can go to war with the Russians. This is not right. You can't go to war if the country doesn't support it. I'm against the war. Then you could have a real civil war. That really could happen very easily. So that's one scenario. But I keep thinking, how can we turn this off? How can we somehow stop this before we get to that point? And I keep thinking I could think of probably half a dozen people, mostly here in the state of Pennsylvania, swing state of Pennsylvania, voted for Biden. These people voted for Biden, and they're either Republicans, or friends of mine who are Democrats that are not out-and-out communists, reasonable people. I'd like to think that most of my friends are reasonable people. I have very few unreasonable people that I'm friends with. I guess you can choose your friends, not your family. Let me think about that. But at any rate, we have to try to get some of these people to vote for us at some point. And I want to hear their rationale for staying on the Democrat camp. So what is it you like about the Democrats? Is it the unending investigations of Donald Trump? Because a lot of these people are so anti-Trump, they just hate him. They hate him. And I get it. He's not a very likable guy. But on the other hand, at some point, don't we reach a point where basic American fairness kicks in? It's been 6 years. 7 years. It's been 7 years, probably. They've been after him since probably he came down the escalator in 2015. 6 or 7 years. They've been after this guy. They fabricated evidence. They fabricated a 3-year investigation, the worst scandal in American history, probably. Certainly the worst scandal since Watergate. I'd say it's worse than Watergate. And nothing happened to them, so they just continued to do it. They haven't found a fucking thing on the guy. Nothing. They've found nothing. If they had, he'd be out of the game. The American people would have united and kicked him out of the game. But the reason we haven't united and kicked him out of the game is because you haven't found a fucking thing. And you're not going to. This raid down in Mar-a-Lago, which is just more of the same, you're not going to find anything there either. So at some point, isn't it just, it's ridiculous. It's a dangerous politicization of the police. It's a police state, basically, that what is going on right now. When does that stop? You're seizing cell phones of United States congressmen, you're serving subpoenas to state legislatures. When does this stop? Where does it stop? What are you down with this, my moderate Biden voting friends? Is this what you signed up for? Do you approve of this? You like it? If you do like it because you just hate Trump that much, isn't your team kind of stupid? That they haven't found anything. You all think Trump's an idiot, but he has somehow outwitted your entire police and justice team for 6 years. So, if you really think Trump's dirty, man, you really keep voting for some really stupid people, don't you? Or maybe more likely, just maybe, he's not guilty of this stuff. And this is nothing but a ridiculous, unending witch hunt that should not be allowed. And no one's going to stop it except the American people. And the way we do that is at the ballot box. So my moderate friends that question Donald Trump and say, oh, he's icky, I can't vote for him. If you allow them to continue this kind of behavior, you're just going to get more of it, and it'll happen to the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy. Maybe it'll happen to someone you like. Do you really think that the Democrats wouldn't be after whoever is head of the Republican Party? John Kasich was ahead of the Republican Party right now, and he was polling ahead of Joe Biden in the 24 electoral race. Do you think that they wouldn't be after him? That they wouldn't be trying to gin up some investigation on him? Of course they would. Of course they would. This is not a Trump-specific thing that's going on. All right, so there's that. Then, the rest of us, the other 2 points I had is that, the people on my side of the aisle, you got to vote for the Republican candidate. People that are looking at the people on our ticket, Mehmet Oz comes to mind, or Doug Mastriano. My God, you got to support the guy. You can't not vote for him. Oh, he's too extreme. Oh, Mehmet Oz, he's from New Jersey. You're either down with the Republican ticket or you're not on our team. You might as well join the other team. Get on the China team. Get on the China team because you're not helping. You're not helping. If you believe in capitalism at all, we all have to hang together now, or we're sure as hell going to hang separately. Ben Franklin. That's what we need to do. We got to stick together now. So we're down to it now. They're raiding the homes of our leaders. They're going to be in our homes soon. They're coming. So we got to hang together. And then, of course, talk to your neighbors. We need to start organizing amongst ourselves. I hear this stuff on the internet and whatnot. Well, we'll just take up arms. Oh, give me a fucking break. We're not organized. We can't do that. We don't have any leadership. We're going to take up arms. And do what with it exactly? Until we get some organization, there's no way for us to do anything. So if you're thinking you're going to take your gun and you're going to go shoot an FBI agent, well, have at it, you asshole. That's the stupidest thing you could goddamn do, you fool. You shouldn't do that. Absolutely not. You'll be arrested. You'll help them. Frankly, I'm thinking you may see that happen anyway. It'll be a false flag operation, i.e. the FBI. It'll either be a fake assassination or it'll be, set up by the government, all as a pretext to just crack down harder on us extremists. We used to be Republicans. Now we're extremists. Now we're domestic terrorists. Really, my moderate Democrat friends, am I a domestic terrorist? Really? If you think that, well, then Joe Biden's your candidate. I can't help you. Go ahead, vote for Joe Biden, because clearly you have more in common with him than you do me. But at any rate, violence is out. It's not time for that yet. It's certainly not time for that yet. So, but yeah, we try to talk to people that are not guaranteed Trump voters. We got to get more of these people into our tent. That's the only way we can slow this down and turn this civil war off. If we don't get more people on our side, well, they're going to come for us. They're going to come for us. And then it'll be a question of whether we do anything about it when they do. So these are my thoughts early in the morning on Thursday, the 11th of August. Hey, I'm Eric Arnold. I believe in free speech. Still. So we'll talk again. Signing off.